Hello and welcome to my latest video. In this I'm going to show you how to make a scarf using the AliExpress knitting machine. The knitting machine is on circular knitting setting. So what this will do is it will create a long tube of knitted material. So to start off we take our yarn, place the tail end in the middle, and using the first black hook, there are three, or first black needle, there are three black needles on the first one. Oh, get into focus. Hook it underneath, then turn and go around the back and underneath. So you're going behind and in front the whole way round. And then when you get back to the beginning, instead of going back under that first black needle, you're going to put your yarn into the yarn holder. And then you just turn the handle. This is probably going to go to around 250 to 300 rows before it's finished. So what I will do is complete that and then come back to you. I'm using a centre pull ball because I find that creates less tension and is less likely to make mistakes in the knitting. So now as the end has come out a bit, you can see what the end looks like. It's sleevish, I suppose you could say. But what I want to do for this pattern is close up the end by pulling on the tail. So that closes it up and it helps it to not fall apart, because that's the last thing I want it to do, is unravel from the bottom end as I'm continuing with the top. So this will twist about a bit as it goes, and the best thing to do is just every now and then untwist it, otherwise it can come quite tangled and it's awkward at the end to try and do it all at once. So I'm going to just drop that down to the floor and carry on. Okay, so it's nearly long enough for what I want it for. So I'm just going to keep going for another 20 or so rows and then give it a quick measure again and see if it is the right length. Right, so I'm going to give it another quick measure. Yep, that seems about right. So now I'll show you how to do the bind off. So what you'll need for this is a needle. The AliExpress comes with a special needle that's got a little bend in it. Oh, if you focus, would you? Okay, so we've got a little hook at the end of the needle, and that is great for casting off. So to do that, when we're in focus, what we do is cut a few inches off at the end there. So we've got got a decent amount of yarn to work with, and then we thread the needle. Now what we do is take the yarn out of the yarn holder, and we want to rotate the machine without it picking up more yarn. But I don't want to do a whole revolution, because if you do it twice with no yarn, it just pops off and we could lose all of our stitches. I don't want to do that. So you start by taking the yarn is in this needle here. So the next one that the first one that I want to stitch into is the one to its left, and then I carry on going left around the machine. And there we have it. So what we want to do is, like with the other end, actually I'm going to just drop everything down into the middle and retrieve it again. Like with the other end, what we want to do is pull the string to close it up. So you just give it a pull and it closes it up neatly like the end of a bag. So for the next step, what I'm going to need to do is remove the machine. So I'm going to take that off the table now. Okay, so we've got a clear workspace now, so what I'm going to do is complete the circle on this. So I'm just flattening it out because it gets a bit twisty as it goes round. Just want to make sure you're flattening it out so that you've not got any twists or turns in it where you don't want them. Depending on the style of your scarf, you might want twists and turns in it, so flattening it out is a good way to make sure that those are where you want them. I don't want any, so I have completely flat. I bent it in half and I've got the two ends together. So now I'm just going to give them a quick tack together so that the ends stay still. If it stayed on the needle, that would be helpful. Okay, now that that's tacked, I'm going to tie the two ends together just to secure it a little bit more. And then I'm going to weave those both in, because I find that sometimes, excuse me, I find that sometimes if you just put a knot in something and then cut off close to the knot, if it for whatever reason unravels, you've got a lot less to work with to try and re-tie it. So I give it a knot and then sew through and cut the ends off a little longer. I don't know if that's what most people do. I've not had a sort of conventional I've not been conventionally taught how to knit and crochet and that sort of thing. I was originally shown by my grandmothers and my mother when I was a child, but then picked it up again as an adult, but sort of through YouTube and various other methods of learning how to do things. So a lot of it I've either figured out for myself or learnt by watching other people doing it. So I don't know necessarily everything, unfortunately, as much as I would like to. Okay, so this could be a finished scarf if you want it to be. It's quite long, so you can double it up like so and wear it like that around the neck. Or what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to cover up this join, if it would like to focus, this join here, with a crocheted band, and I'm also going to put that band round the other way as well, so it's already in half, ready to slip on to wear. You don't have to do that. A lot of scarves that I make I don't do that with, but I am for the purposes of this video. So for this I'm going to need a crochet hook. However, I think this one is a bit too big. It's a 4.5mm, so I'm just going to have a look in my bag. Okay, so taking the same yarn that I've been using, again, it could be a contrasting one, you know, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. This is just sort of a basic tutorial. So, okay, so for the crochet, I will do a proper video on this at some point, but I'm just going to blast through this bit for now. So I'm going to do 6 stitches, so I need 5 stitches, so I need a chain of 6. 5, 6, and then single crochet, 2, 3, 4, and the last one 5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a half double crochet just to make it grow that little bit quicker. The way I do my crochet is very odd. A lot of people have commented when they've seen me crocheting in the past about how I wrap the yarn around my forefinger, and the reason I do this is because for me it's how I regulate the tension. I find it easier than just having it coming straight from the ball and then looped once around my finger. I don't always have it wrapped around my finger, but at least I start off that way. So I don't know why I do it. It's just something I have always done with my crochet. Right, so I'm just going to check and see if this is long enough to go around the binding, because what I want is I want the binding quite tight, but I don't want it too tight. However, I think that is just right. So I'm going to sew this together. So I'm going to cut off a couple of inches just to give myself some room to work with, and pull that last loop through, because if I don't pull that through it will unravel everything, and then I will have wasted quite a lot of time. So I'm just going to place that around where I want it to go, and use this tail, thread it through the needle. There we are. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew the two sides together, and then what I'm going to do is anchor it as well. So once I've sewn through just the ends of the little strap that I've made there, I'm also going to go back the other way sewing into the scarf material, because that will keep it more securely in place, because if I don't do that it may move around, and then that will then not be covering the bit that it is designed to cover. So that should give it a good anchor. So again, I'm going to tie the ends together to make that nice and secure, and then I'm going to sew using the needle into the material and then back out again, and then snip off the end. That way if it comes unravelled I've got plenty to work with. Okay. Give that a quick snip. And oh dear, and it's done. So as you can see there, it's got 2 strands on it. It's got the binding at the top there. I can't tell which way I'm supposed to go. Binding at the bit there. You could, if you wanted to, add more embellishments to this, make it wider, make it smaller. If you've got buttons or a crochet flower you want to put on there, you can put that on there as well. It sits quite nicely. If you don't want to have that at the front, if you want to have it hanging like so at the front, then that can go at the nape of the neck. You know, it's completely up to you, but that is how I make my scarves. I'm making a lot of these at the moment because of my Kickstarter to try and get rid of as much of my yarn as possible. It's been a lot more popular than I thought it would be. My goal was to raise £50 just to cover postage and packing and that sort of thing, and it's already over, I think it's over £250 now, so I'm actually slightly concerned that I won't have enough yarn to fulfill all of that, but if I don't have enough yarn I will buy more, because people have pledged money to me and I said I will make them things, so they will be made, they will be sent. I had hoped that I'd be able to start sending them this month, and I think I might be able to maybe in the next couple of weeks. I have got a big box of bits and bobs already made, but I almost want to finish everything before I start sending things out, in case I miss things, because I'm not a business. I don't have sort of a system for doing this sort of thing. I've got an Excel spreadsheet where I've written down everyone's names and what they wanted, and then I can tick off when I've made them. I suppose I could add another column on there, tick off when I've sent it. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I hope you enjoyed my video. I am hoping to make more knitting and crocheting videos over the coming weeks, months, however long, because I am going to be doing a lot of knitting and crocheting for my Kickstarter. I might as well video some of it when I have the opportunity to. So give me a like and a subscribe maybe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching.